Maryland's known for the Baltimore Orioles, the birthplace of the national anthem, as well as the Baltimore Harbor. Did I forget one? I did forget one. I forgot the most important one, the blue crab. I live on the Delmarva Peninsula. I've been crabbing since I could basically walk. I remember my mom taking me out into the middle of nowhere in one of our swampy areas and basically catching crabs right along the side of the road. And it's unfortunate because when I was that age, we used to come home with coolers full. And now I've taken my kids, when they were younger, and we're lucky if we get 4 or 5 crabs. It's just not interesting enough for them. If they're catching more, they'd be more tuned in like I was when I was young. But nothing can compete with the flavor of that blue crab out of the Chesapeake waters. And so what recipe is the most famous for the blue crab? Well, that's an easy one for us around here. It is the crab cake, the Maryland crab cake. It's simple, it's easy, it's bold with flavor, and absolutely delicious. You can put it on a salad, you can eat it straight, you can make a sandwich out of it, you can do anything you want. Just make sure you give this recipe a shot. Here we go with the Maryland blue crab cake. Perfect crab cake starts with some Maryland blue crab, and this is lump and claw meat. I did buy it pre-picked, but you can buy your own crabs and pick it too. It's just going to take a long time to get that much crab meat, so I buy it locally. If you don't live in an area where you can catch the blue crab, you can have the blue crab shipped to you from a couple of different websites, but it's definitely going to be expensive. But in order to have the perfect Maryland crab cake, you have to have Maryland crab meat. 16 ounces of Maryland blue crab. I'm going with half lump and half claw. Gonna go with 2 whipped eggs. I'm going with 5 tablespoons of Miracle Whip or mayo. In my case, it's Miracle Whip, but you use whatever you like. 1.5 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard. And now the magical ingredient, 1.5 tablespoons of Old Bay. The controversial ingredient. Always hear people say no filler. This is the filler. And here's what happens if you don't have any filler. The crab cake falls apart. Trust me, that's what happens. The filler is there for a reason. I go with just panko breadcrumbs, no seasoning, just something to get us to stick everything together. And just plain panko breadcrumbs do a perfect job. This is very important. 6 tablespoons of breadcrumbs for a pound of crab meat. That ratio is vital to a perfect consistency on your crab cake. Now we're just gonna give this a mix. Now we're gonna give that about 15 to 20 minutes to just kind of come together, let those breadcrumbs absorb all that moisture, and then we'll go ahead and shape our crab cakes. You can weigh these out if you want to, but I've made enough of them, I just kind of eyeball it. The important thing about shaping these crab cakes is the thickness, and I'll show you what I mean in just a second. Let's go ahead and just grab a handful, and we're just going to kind of shape it into a ball. Now on a cookie tray, with some wax paper to keep it from sticking, put that ball down, and just give it a little push, so that we have a nice, even, about 1 knuckle deep crab cake. The most important step to cooking the perfect Maryland blue crab cake is after you have them formed and everything's ready to go, we're going to let them sit in the refrigerator for about an hour and a half. And what that's going to do is help firm these guys up and make sure that they don't fall apart when we're trying to cook them. I hear some of you guys right now. gas grill? You're gonna use gas? Listen, we're gonna fry these crab cakes in a cast iron pan with lots of oil. The mess, well, it's much easier to clean up right here on this gas grill. So we're gonna put a cast iron pan down with some oil, heat it up, and then we're gonna go ahead and fry these crab cakes up, and they're gonna be absolutely amazing. Stick around. Let's go ahead and put our cast iron pan on here, let it warm up, medium-high heat. I'm using grapeseed oil, but you can use any high heat oil that you'd like. Use plenty of it. As soon as this oil starts smoking, we're gonna go ahead and throw these crab cakes on. Oh my gosh, they look and smell amazing. That was about an hour and 20 minutes in the refrigerator. It just really helped them, kind of develop a firmness to them so that we'll be able to handle them without them completely breaking up. You don't want to use a lot of breadcrumbs, but the trade-off is the fewer breadcrumbs you use, the easier these things fall apart. So there's a happy medium there. Old Bay and that blue crab, oh my gosh, those flavors come together like magic. And the consistency was just about perfect. And that ratio of crab meat to breadcrumbs is so important. When you take a bite of a crab cake, you don't want to have any hint or idea that there's any filler in that crab cake at all. We want just enough breadcrumbs to help keep these guys together so we can handle them just enough to put them in the frying pan and take them off. If you do that, and you follow this recipe, you're gonna have the most amazing Maryland blue crab cakes you've ever had. This is the backbone of all the crab cake recipes in this area. Sure, a lot of restaurants go out and do their own thing with them, but this crab cake is where it all came from. I hope you guys have an awesome week, and I can't wait to see you on the next video.